Hey guys, welcome back to Game of Constellations, and today we'll be discussing about a Virgo moon. And if you're new to my channel, please do subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss out on all my videos. So let's get started. So what is Virgo? Virgo is the 6th zodiac sign in Vedic astrology, and this zodiac sign is ruled by planet Mercury. And so what is Mercury? Mercury is communication. It's our intellectual ability, our analytical capability. Mercury rules over electronic gadgets and our day-to-day activities. And so we are talking about a Virgo moon. So what is moon? Moon is our mind. Moon is the way we think. Moon is our thought process. And moon is the significator of mother. And also anything that is of utmost quality and the finest things around us are represented by moon. And so a Virgo moon usually has that critical nature within it, and so these people are very critical, very reflective, and at the same time these people are also very picky and choosy, and they're pretty much very determined and hardworking people. Now again, to understand the Virgo moon much better and deeper, we need to know that Virgo has 3 constellations or nakshatras present inside the zodiac sign, and these are Uttara Phalguni, Hasta and Chitra. So the nakshatra or constellation of Uttara Phalguni starts from 0 degrees of Virgo up and until 10 degrees, and then followed by Hasta Nakshatra or constellation of Hasta, which is between 10 degrees of Virgo up and until 23 degrees 20 minutes. And finally we have the constellation or nakshatra Chitra, which is from 23 degrees 20 minutes up and until 30 degrees of Virgo, where this zodiac sign ends, and this constellation spills over into the zodiac sign of Libra. So let's get started. So an Uttara Phalguni moon, especially in Virgo, is more towards the critical side, where these are the kind of people who want to be that absolute critical Virgo, and this is that nakshatra where we see the critical and analytical ability of this Virgo comes out completely. And these people want to be always questioning things. They just don't accept anything given to them straight away. They're always coming back to you with questions. So you give them something, they're like, well, why is this? Why is point number 2? What does it mean? I want to know everything. And they're very, very critical in their approach. And also this constellation has a very special connection with marriage, because these people have that karma present in their horoscope, because they're born in Uttara Phalguni moon, that they have to deal with this karma of marriage, both in a good and bad way. But then there's a very, very strong relationship between them and this concept of marriage. Now an Uttara Phalguni moon, due to that critical nature of this particular constellation, usually these people find themselves in conflicts. Especially these people want to be a part of anything that has to deal with signing contracts, or probably they're also into industries where they deal with signing contracts, or probably they're into a profession where they have to work with a lot of paperwork, contract management, and also lawyers and legal advisors are seen with Uttara Phalguni moon. And very prominent lawyers and very prominent divorce lawyers are actually seen with this constellation. Now, having said that, an Uttara Phalguni moon, apart from being critical, also wants to serve the public, because this is that nakshatra which has that natural energy of trying to do a lot for the people. And as you also know, that the zodiac sign of Virgo has a very strong connection with service. Uttara Phalguni is the constellation that actually brings out this mentality of service, and these are the kind of people who actually want to make a difference in the society. In spite of their critical nature and that questioning nature, these people want to actually be out there to start helping people and trying to solve their problems. And this is why we can see these people trying to be divorce lawyers, not because they like the concept of 2 people splitting, but then this is their job to ensure that two people live happily when they're actually not together. And at the same time, we also find matchmaking people, like people who do marriage matching, with an Uttara Phalguni moon strongly associated, because again, I told you, the concept of marriage becomes very important to them, and they can actually find themselves in a position where they are trying to get two people along to live together. And this is again the concept of Uttara Phalguni trying to have a very strong connection with service and wanting to do something to the society. And Uttara Phalguni moon also has some connection with bones and bone density, and usually with a very strong moon here which receives positive aspects, we can see that these are the kind of people who have a very strong physique and usually are a larger body than expected. And at the same time, if the moon is afflicted, then we also find these people having issues with their bone density, or just in general some issue with their bones. Another key point of Uttara Phalguni moon is that these people have anger issues. Now again, this is highly dependent on how the moon is positioned, because if the moon is receiving good aspects, then yeah, more or less this is okay. But if the moon is not well placed in this constellation, then these people can have massive anger issues, and they can really go wildfire if they're not controlled. And so these are the people who really need that state of meditation and that trying to be in that calm state of mind, because they're always having this aggressive approach towards life where they really don't know how to stay calm, and they're always on the brink of just being provoked, and then they go haywire. And finally, with an Uttara Phalguni moon, we see that these are the people who are blessed with inheritances, and they usually have some connection with their ancestors, or just in general with some kind of a property or some inheritance which comes to them in this lifetime, and they're usually blessed with such gifts. Now, with Hasta moons, we see that these are the people who are pretty much emotional and sensitive, and they try to connect to people very, very strongly. Like they want to have this friend in their life where they can sit and share each and every single detail to them, and they like that close bonding and that intimacy with the other person. Now at the same time, a Hasta Nakshatra is they are actually blessed with a golden hand, is what they say, because this nakshatra, Hasta, represents a hand. And so these people have some connection in this lifetime to do with their hands. They probably are in a professional field where they have to execute most of their daily life work using their hands, like doing the actual mechanical work. For example, they can be technicians, painters, craftsmen. But at the same time, I also see that a Hasta Nakshatra moon usually gives rise to people who want to be a part of trickery, magic, and they love this concept of magic and trickery. And for example, you can see people using their hands to play around with cards and with so many other products, and they like to deceive people, because that's how magic and tricks work. And the Hasta Nakshatra is very good with such concepts. Now at the same time, if this moon is afflicted, then we see that these people now turn into someone who's more on the negative side of trickery. And so you can find pickpocketers, you can find almost any kind of thieves who are extremely intelligent and who know how to get a robbery done with actually a Hasta Nakshatra moon. But this again happens only if the moon is severely afflicted, and if there are some other combinations present in the chart, then these can be a very super intelligent person. Because remember, again, we're talking about Virgo and Mercury, who has that analytical ability and that intellectual quality in them to make sure that when they plan something, they can plan it to perfection, and nobody can even spot what they're trying to do. Now, a Hasta moon is also very witty and humorous, and these people are also debaters. They like to be part of debates. And we also find Hasta Nakshatra people in places where there's stand-up comedy, and so we see a lot of stand-up comedians. We see people who want to be on the stage trying to mimic or trying to just create a very jovial environment, and Hasta Nakshatra has this very strong connection. Now, a Hasta moon can also be dealing with a profession where they have to be very, very focused on what they're working with. So, for example, something that requires highest attention to detail, and then a Hasta moon would be excellent at this work because these people have that quality of spotting minute errors. Another good point about Hasta Nakshatra is that they're always interested in making deals. They always find themselves in a situation where they want to make a deal with the other person, and probably they also love professions where they want to make that one-on-one deal, and they're very good at this one-on-one deal. And I also see that with Hasta moons, a lot of people are interested in sports, especially the one-on-one sports, like for example tennis or any other sport which deals with one-on-one, one versus one, and again they have to use their hand in it. So you see that the connection with the hand and this competition of one-on-one, because again remember the sign of Virgo rules competition and enemies, and so when you see competition, you can link this very strongly to Hasta Nakshatra, because these people like that competition. They always want to be there with one person saying, well, okay, let's strike a deal now. So if I get this, then this is mine, and this is yours. And they always are interested in making deals. And that's why you see Hasta is also extremely interested in sports, and especially, like I mentioned before, any sport that has usage of their hands, and which is again one-on-one. They're very much interested in it. Now, finally, having mentioned Hasta as the hand in the beginning, you might have also guessed that Hasta Nakshatra has a very strong connection with boxing and also something to do with their fist. And yes, this is right, because again, remember that Virgo sign rules the enemies, and so Hasta Nakshatra here becomes very, very strong and very connected with this concept of enemies, and it pulls out that energy from Virgo, where now this is the kind of person who wants to actually get into boxing, who wants to compete with their opponent. And always this is not the case in every Hasta moon, but depending on some of the planets looking at the moon, and depending on how your moon is placed, this is a very, very strong possibility that you're a person who wants to be in a battle and who wants to be in this fist fighting and boxing related activities. Now, as I mentioned before, that a Hasta moon can either have connections with trickery or magic tricks, or at the same time they can also have connections with pickpocketing and on the negative side of things. These people also have a very healing hand, and so we see that these are the kind of people who are very strongly connected with the medical science and the medical field. When it comes to a Chitra moon in the zodiac sign of Virgo, we see that this is the moon which is the most energetic constellation in the zodiac sign of Virgo, because here this moon absorbs all the harsh side of the Virgo, which represents health issues, health routines, enemies, conflicts, and this is that nakshatra which almost takes all the energy of this Virgo. And then we see that these are the kind of people who are very, very headstrong, and they've probably dealt with typical harsh conditions in their early age, and we usually see that the first half of their life has been very difficult for them, and that's when they grow from that experience and conquer in the second half of their life. It's like they put a U-turn to the graph, whatever has happened to them in the earlier years, and now they learn all those lessons there, and they're able to succeed in the second half of their life. This is not necessary that every Chitra moon has to go through this in the early years of their life, but this is just a very general karmic thing that happens to some of them, and not necessarily happens to everybody, because you can be right now watching this and you might be 20 years old and watching this video and you're pretty much okay for the moment, but then you will obviously go through some experiences in your life which will teach you lessons, and then you realize that once you're old, you're able to capitalize on all your mistakes, because this is what happens with the Chitra moon, where they usually are not able to spot early on in their life that they're going wrong or they're doing mistakes. And then once they cross a certain age in their life, usually this is between 36 and 42, and then they realize that they shouldn't have taken all those decisions, and now they learn from their lessons, and they really get better and better in their older age. Now, a Chitra moon has a very strong connection with jewels, with gemstones, and so you can find these people in fashion industry, because these are the kind of people who really want to look good, and they have that natural charisma in them. A Chitra moon usually has a very, very good physical body, and they just have that nature in them, where when you see a Chitra moon, you are usually going to say that, well, he's a handsome person or she's a beautiful woman, because a Chitra moon naturally carries that energy of beauty in them. And these are also the kind of people who have a very, very strong connection with their children. If you're a Chitra moon, and if you're married and if you have children, you're going to have a very strong karmic experience with your children, because this nakshatra has that karmic connection with children. And especially for a Chitra moon, when they have daughters, that becomes a very karmic connection. So usually in your lifetime, there is going to be some event, or there's going to be something which is going to outplay between you and your daughter, and that becomes a very, very karmic thing for a Chitra moon. Now, when it comes to professional fields, again, Chitra moon is typically that creative side of Virgo, where again it wants to deal with mechanical and with that analytical ability. So we usually find Chitra moons ending up as interior designers, architects, someone who wants to build, someone who wants to make something look beautiful. And again, in fashion industry, in any kind of industry where you see there's beauty and construction coming into play. Now, I've also seen Chitra moon being involved in typically the military side of things, where they're dealing with ammunition, guns, explosives. Now again, this has to be seen with a different combination, because I don't know how your moon is placed, and probably your moon is being influenced with many other planets, so we'll have to assess that. So if your moon is being influenced by Mars or by Ketu, then more or less you have a very strong connection with guns, ammunition, and something to do with the government and military side of things. Another thing about a Chitra moon is that these people are very good negotiators. They love negotiating, because remember, in the zodiac sign of Virgo, we have Uttara Phalguni and Hasta, where Uttara Phalguni deals with contracts, Hasta is the deal, and then Chitra is the execution. So these people are very good at executing projects. They're very good at executing anything that they sign up for. And so they strike very good deals, and they are very, very good at negotiating. They know how to get that win-win situation when they're speaking to others. And this is another talent of this constellation. And this is also the constellation where we see communication becomes a very, very important tool for this constellation, because again, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is communication. And so this nakshatra has that specific quality of communication which comes out with these guys, and they're very good at talking to people, trying to strike a win-win situation, and trying to make sure that they have this long-term relationship with that person or with that business entity that they're dealing with. So anyway guys, these were my thoughts on a Virgo moon covering Uttara Phalguni, Hasta and Chitra. And so if you really like this video, make sure you like, share and comment on this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon which is right next to the subscribe button. So until my next video, goodbye.